Yo, 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 what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Podicast right here at News Cafe, our new home for the next couple of episodes. But yeah, but it's very sharp. They got a bunch of specials for you guys. Take a cheers and guest before I introduce them. But remember, yeah, News Cafe is back. It's out here, Kako Village, right next to site. It's a UB. They have a happy hour that runs from around 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. So, you can have those work meetings here, have yourself some drinks as well. They have an amazing, amazing menu. I'm holding it right now. We're going to have some food later on as well. But yeah, right now I'm having myself a mojito and our guest is having themselves a strawberry daiquiri. She'll tell us all about it once we get into the show. But I'm really, really excited about this because the person we have on the show used to manage this guy. The only person who's been very successful at managing this guy is my mother. Of course, and my girl. But like me and this lady here, man, we've had some really, really good times. And I tested her patience a little bit, but like she's always going to be one of my favorite managers ever. All right. And some of the other stuff that she gets into, she's been a manager at Native Events. Native Events. She is a corporate MC, a motivational speaker, a public speaking coach. She's also a cook. I don't know if we call you a chef.
Not a chef.
But
cook.
But I don't know why people run away from that thing.
Cook.
Mare, let's sprinkle what. You are a chef. But yeah, she's also been PR at Miss Botswana, the same Miss Botswana that brought us Lesego Chombo, who is now a minister in the Botswana cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, give it up for the lady you've heard on the radio, on RB2, on Yarona FM, and BTV as well. This is one of the silent killers in the entertainment industry. And she's a woman. Give it up for Tshepi S, a.k.a. Tshepiso Solomon. What's going on, Mama?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you think about your drink? You're having a strawberry daiquiri?
I generally don't do like cocktails a lot because I always feel like establishments water them down. I like my drinks strong. So
Get away, yeah?
No,
I don't even know what's going on.
But it's this one right now.
No, this one is really, really delicious. Guys, these things are pretty cheap. Like I said, I have the menu right in front of us. There's all kinds of the cocktail. Like I said, there's strawberry daiquiri, there's Long Island iced tea. You have to have a Long Island iced tea on the menu. There's mojitos, there's classic margaritas, there's all kinds. And a big favorite as well is one called A Faithful Bitch. Come out here and have yourself some. Okay, Tshepi, thank you so much for coming through. I usually want to start by asking people, where they were born and raised, because I think it's important, because some of these things gives some perspective. I see here that you went to Matterspay, so I'm trying to figure out. Hey, what about Matterspay?
Am I guy?
No, I always knew what model C.
Matterspay guy. I current.
Where did you go to school? Let me open this.
I went to many schools.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of my primary school, I started primary school at the Learning Center.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to the UK for my last year of primary and my first year of high school.
Okay.
Then we came back.
Okay.
I went back to the Learning Center and then New Era.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, you can
what's that guy, Matterspay? No, yeah, but Tshepiso Solomon. I thought Tshepiso Solomon. Tshepiso Sebone. When only be like Tshepiso Sebone go ka itso re babedi. Ba kile ba nkomanya ko office nya o mang.
I'm telling you, like Matterspay lives in Francistown.
It's the other girl. They once almost gave her my omang.
So she's about to Amanda Brown you.
She's about to.
There's an Amanda Brown out there. Shout out Amanda Brown.
That's the other Tshepiso Sebone.
Okay, so you guys have never met and stuff?
We've never met.
Yeah.
And the thing is, funny enough, some years ago we started the Sebone family reunions.
Yeah.
So she didn't appear for family reunion. And I was looking forward to meeting because I really wanted to find out who she was.
Awesome.
But yeah, we've never met.
Awesome. So you grew up, you came back into Gabs. What do you think that helped you become? Like, is it anything that you can see right now, or, growing up out there contributes to who I am right now?
You know what? It did. It really did.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know about the bad part. The bad part eventually became good, but, they're so forward in the UK. They're so out there. The kids mature so much faster.
Yeah.
So even when I went out there, I think Nekebala is 5.
Stand 5, yeah.
Yeah, and so their education is just like a little bit more forward than us.
Okay.
So I found myself when I got there now doing my last year of primary instead of having another year to go.
Okay.
And then I was starting my high school. Yeah, no, it's never engage at that age.
I think this is what brings me to the next question, because you were a pretty young mom, and it's a topic you talk about so openly.
Yeah.
And I give you mad respect for that. How old were you when you had Anana?
I had turned 15, but I got pregnant when I was still 14. So by the time I had her, I was 15.
So
I was literally a baby.
Break it down.
But not in the UK terms.
No, I'm saying, were you active, or was it a one-time thing and then you got pregnant?
I was active. The gentle brother I was active with, we had been together. I think by the time we had the baby, that was like our second year together.
Yeah. You were 13.
I've always been one relationship. So, but I shouldn't say his name. I almost said his name.
Hey, no. Hey.
I almost said his name, but he's not even from Botswana.
Okay.
He's not around anymore.
Where's he from?
He's from Zambia.
Oh, okay.
I liked them guys from all the way through varsity, hey. I never used to believe in Tswana men. I don't know how I ended up marrying one, but that's a story for another time.
No doubt.
So yeah, we were together. We were at high school. We were in the same class. So, a lot of people tend to ask me, was it one of those scenarios whereby I was being defiled? Or I was crazy about this guy.
Yeah.
We were and however kids do it. And obviously you experiment, you make your mishaps and your mistakes, it happened.
So did you have the baby out in the UK, or
no?
Did you
here
come
we
down
were
over
here.
time?
By that time we were here.
You already settled here.
Because we moved back when I was 13.
Okay.
So by the time I was 14, now this was me. No, what was it? 12?
Yeah.
No, we moved back by the time I was 12. We were back.
So what did your folks say? I mean, this must have been a nightmare for you, because you're thinking.
My mom warned me about speaking about this.
I really want
to hear her reaction to this scenario.
Yeah.
But I mean, she, to say the least, she wasn't happy. I was raised as a Christian girl, a Christian child from a Christian background, and
PK, Papa's kids.
I did all the right things in front of them. All the right things in front of them, where I would even be used as an example to other children. And it's just that her reaction was valid, and it was traumatic for my mom.
Yeah.
It was very traumatic for my mom.
Crazy, man. And I can imagine also the people, because now you're older, can you imagine what the people were saying about her and stuff? Did she even care? Because you turned out really, really good.
Yeah.
You went to varsity, you did your education, you're a hustler of note.
Yeah.
How did you think you were able
Against contrary belief.
Yeah. And a lot of people would have sunk into that space and thought, my life is over with. How were you able to come out of it and actually be strong enough to do your own thing? You have a family of your own now, all of that.
Part of it, I truly believe the reason I'm where I am today was also because of my mom's reaction to the scenario.
Yeah.
How angry she was and how hurt she was by it.
Yeah.
For me, then it just became about, every step was about what I need to prove to her that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That, this is not the end. She truly believed that was the end.
Yeah.
She just thought we were not going to be able to move past that I wasn't going to be able to amount to anything much. And, naturally so, because I won't lie, even myself, when my daughter was having a baby, when she was much older, I kind of had that feeling as well.
Hold up. You are a granny.
You didn't know?
No, my
There's
nigga.
no no way you didn't know.
No,
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a granny.
Whoa.
I'm a granny.
How old is
I've been a
the
granny for
grandnana?
about a year and 2 months.
My goodness.
We had our kids 3 months apart. You know, Karma.
Hey.
Karma's a bitch, guys. Because my mom and I were pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
Then my daughter and I were pregnant at the same time.
But I'm sure that was fun. I mean, I have an uncle who's like a year older than me.
Yeah.
And my mom was always saying my grandmother just wouldn't let her just enjoy her shine. She had to have one as well.
Like, what are you doing?
So how is it? How is that type of experience? Because, you know, I can only imagine. Okay, now you're a granny, you're pregnant. How was that able to get you guys closer?
You know, that's why I can only, now I know. Now imagine my mom going through that when I was 14 going on 15. My daughter was already a grown woman. She was 20.
Yeah.
She was 20 going on 21. She wasn't even a teenager. She's done with school. She's, you know, but I still felt that trauma, Lynn. I felt like she broke a pact between us that we had. One thing for me when raising her, because when I took her, when I moved out of home with her, she was 10 years old. That was the time I was working at Yarona. I got a bit stable, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my baby and show my folks that, you know what? I got this.
I can do this
my
myself.
intention is not to leave you with this, I don't want to say burden, but with this burden forever. And so, you know, for me, we always had a pact. We've always been open with one another. And I just felt like, to me, she had broken our pact. But, you know, a friend of mine then made me realize that, you know, she actually didn't. You know, you managed to break the cycle of teenage pregnancy. She did not become a teenage mother, you know, at the end of the day. So give her some grace. You know,
thinking about it that way, you know what I mean. She's in her 20s at that point,
you know. So she actually kept to the pact. And you know, she, the father of the baby is there. They're doing well. They're doing great. She moved out of home just before she had the baby as well. So you know, they're doing really well, and I can only be proud. You know, I think I was chatting with Abby before the show. You know what? I feel like we got a good one there. We got held a very good hand.
Big up, my mister. I mean, so you are able to go to varsity, go Monash. I think that's where I met you, go Monash. You were the pretty girl in that area. No. Thank God I didn't have game. Because, thank goodness, I'm just telling the truth. I'm telling the truth because but at the same time, you know, I think we were at a gig at Monash with Bozoos and stuff like that.
It was a Zooska Stagger night, if I remember correctly.
Out in Monash. So you were out there, you were able to finish your studies.
I finished my studies. You know, this then also just goes down to how much my parents held it down, you know. After I fell pregnant, funny enough, when I fell pregnant, I was already now going, where I went to school, Form 5, Form 4. Okay. So I was in that year at a very young age, at the learning center.
At the learning center,
So, you know, when I got back, then I skipped, obviously I didn't do standard 7, I went straight to Form 1. And then by the time now I was in Form 4, school. You know, so things kind of moved pretty fast. You know, in that time. And so when I fell pregnant, then we were like, no, Oscar kwalangwaho. And then that's when I moved to New Era and went to repeat my Form 5 and do another year. This was now the year of me, I think 15 going on 16. That's really, really awesome. At least happy you had that space because you were, you know, you had progressed a bit faster because when you were out in the UK. So I had a bit more time and leeway. So by the time I finished at the learning center and had the baby, but I went back to school about 2 or 3 months after having the baby. About 3 months after having the baby, because I had her in November, and then by February the next year I was back in school.
Crazy.
Because we were also just trying. So that is also another thing which I must say, you see, this is where now my parents and my support system comes in.
Awesome
because
stuff.
Then that means they have to hold it down. And instead of keeping me at home saying, you know, considering that there's now 2 babies in the house because my mom was also having a baby. You know, so this is where then it was held down. We needed to make sure that it's going to work. Having 2 babies in the house, Tshepiso going to school. But I also had to grind. one of the stories I always tell is that even when I was studying for my Form 5 exams, she had colic, that girl. She had colic and she would cry all night. So even when I was studying, and she wouldn't even want, but even my mom was trying to help, she was inconsolable. The only thing that would
always
console
crying.
her was
Colic is when they have what?
And she would only be consoled by breastfeeding. So I used to have this stool, my dad, which his footstool.
Yeah.
So I used to study on it and just hold her and study while I'm feeding her throughout the whole night,
Yeah.
But funny enough, I managed to pass. A lot of my friends actually had to redo Form 6 because they weren't able to apply for varsity with the Form 5 results. But you see, when God shows up, He shows up, and I feel like God showed up for me at that time.
So, how did you know what you were going to study at this time? Because like this, you have a nana kahana, so okay, how did you choose the course that you did? What did you end up doing for Monash?
For me with Monash, it wasn't about a course. For me, it was also I just wanted to go to varsity.
Yeah.
And also just get out of the country and get out of the city. For me also, I just wanted a break and a breather to go and find myself and figure myself out.
Yeah.
But as much as even when I was gone, I think I also spoke about this on Hana's podcast, but as much as I was gone, we ended up, after like my first year, we ended up having a routine whereby on the holidays, Zanele would come to me, and she would come and visit me, and even my husband experienced it a bit. We would put her in like a preschool nearby school, and then I'd go to school. Even my housemates would know what the holidays Zanele wa atla. Hago host TV, hago di holiday, holiday, and I'd put her in a preschool nearby, and I'd go to school, pick her up after, and then send her back after the holiday is done. So there was always that bond. And one thing I also did is I wanted her to call me mama. No matter what, I wanted her to call me mama, and I wanted to make things right. Make things right with her, make things right with my mom, and also it kind of kept me in line, going about it that way.
No, not a lot of people will do that, especially if you're out in SA. You have a new identity, no one knows you, so you could easily drawn up whatever image you want. People always used to laugh at
me because my first introduction, my husband says, the first thing I said to him was, I have a baby.
Oh, shame.
When he met me, it's like he just said hi, and I said, I have a baby.
Shit, man. I can't say I know anyone who's gone through that, Because, but what would you say to like also mothers or maybe have a child at a very early age?
The thing is, it's so freeing to not hide it. And for me, that's one thing that I lived by. I didn't want to be, feel like there's something. When you're hiding something, you carry this burden, and it shows that you're heavy. When you're not able, you gotta always watch what you say. You gotta always, and sometimes it's to my detriment how open I am. But for me, I wanted to free myself of the burden. Of the burden of hiding this, of the burden of, not having to slip up along the way. So it was just about freeing myself. I think also eventually my folks also would appreciate that, because then it freed them as well. Because kind of once you speak about something, there's no shame to it anymore.
You own your truth.
You can't tease me about it. You can't use it against me. Because I did that. That's me.
It's mine.
I said it first.
I own up to it.
So
I totally respect that though. So with the courses, because I'm looking at your some of the milestones in your career. I'm gonna jump through some of them and go through because I also want to but I also want to get like your opinion on certain things, because I think you being able to be a mom also helped with the job that you did that the whole nation knows about right now, which is Lesego Chombo. So don't mind me jumping back and forth because you worked at Miss Botswana at a time when Ponesa had just left, and
it was bad.
It was bad. It was like a gaping hole there, I remember when
the
Lesego,
negativity.
There was a whole lot going on, and because when she went to competition at Miss World, where apparently there was a wardrobe situations and whatever, no one wanted to touch it, But you came in at a time where Lesego was notably and when I saw you get in the team, I was like, watch her cook, you know what I mean? And right now we're talking about one of the most successful Miss Botswanas to ever come through. So I'm crediting that to you having been a mom and taking care of someone so young. Tell us a little bit about Lesego when you met her.
You know, Lesego, when I met her, she was just this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, you know. But one thing that, when I joined Miss Botswana, the announcement of me joining was made when they were announcing the top 10.
Okay.
During Palesa's reign, when they were now announcing the top 10.
Yeah.
So I was with them from after the announcement of the top 10 right up until when Lesego won Miss World Africa.
Yeah.
And for me, when...
Gather your thoughts.
When I got in there, it was hectic. You know, even on social media, every single comment on their posts, almost every single comment was negative.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, when I'm coming in and I'm looking at this, there's so much animosity within the organization itself. There's so much animosity with the public towards the organization. There was so much anger.
Yeah.
There was so much anger with Miss Botswana.
I think it was because we felt Palesa was it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we got disappointed and it all sounded like it was technicalities.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, walking into something like that, did you know what you were walking into?
Not quite. I mean, you know, Ben is somebody who I grew up knowing. He's a family friend, you know. And for me, when I met Ben, I knew of what I knew, what we all knew, and what we were seeing.
Yeah.
So for me, I just one day said to him, because I was still working at Magariland at the time as a PR specialist at Magariland, and for me at the time, I said to him, well, look, let me come help you fix this situation.
Yeah.
You know, now in Tshepi, I always feel like I can fix everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You try to fix me, mommy. It worked.
I think I did.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah. So and then I was just like, look, let me come help you this side. I truly believe that I can add value and there's some good I can bring to you.
Yeah.
You know. And yeah, we got into that and I got in and I started to see actually how bad it was, you know. And a part of me also, sometimes this is also my downfall. I tend to give a lot of grace to people.
Yeah.
So for me, when I came in, I wasn't coming in with the impression of, hey, Benjamin Ojamadi, hey, Benjamin Khatse, Banyana Sentle. I came in and I wanted to find out what's the actual story. What happened? What is happening?
Yeah.
What's actually going on?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah.
Before you start offering solutions, you have to find the root of the problem. Where is this foundation cracked so that, you know, foundation, you know. So I think for me, that's how I approached the Miss Botswana journey when I first came in. And that for me is where I was able then to give insight, you know. There's a lot of things that have been said about Ben. You know, yes, granted, there may have been some mismanagement somewhere along the line. But, you know, Tata deep down, Benjamin is a really good guy. He's a really great guy. And sometimes you're just dealt a hard hand. And from what I saw, there was a bit of a hard hand dealt. You know, when you take something from when he took it, I think it was Nakwa Sansana Le Bash and Nakozabo COVID. Imagine how much debt you accumulate in that time. Imagine how much money you lose in that time. So when some money comes in and you're trying to recoup funds, that doesn't mean that you are now not doing right by your current queen or by your... At the end of the day, a business is a business.
It's a business, yeah.
This Botswana organization is a business. And if you have put some money into it, it needs to come back somehow.
Definitely.
So those are the aspects also that the public doesn't see, that the public didn't see. I remember one of the first campaigns I did with them was saying, let's do cards up. For hagona madi. La re you tire ha madi, you tire ha bokana. High enough. Miss Botswana o tlhoka bokana.
Being transparent.
You need to come out and just show your books, show the table, show the people. That you guys are saying Miss Botswana is chowing the money. What man?
There's no money.
And I remember there's actually a press conference I said to them, I was like, le rafing mad.
No doubt.
You know, so I think I approached it in that manner that let us fix from the foundation. Let us remove any misconceptions, any, you know, facades, any any other misunderstandings that may have been there. Yeah. And the only way to do that is cards up.
Yeah.
I mean, Brando was there as well. You know, it was really, really great working with him as well. And it's just one of those that you got to see the bright side also of the picture before you come in and just say,
and pointing fingers.
What's happening. Hey.
So you jump in and, you know, Lesego was she comes on and wins the thing. A lot of us didn't think she would become what she has become at this point in time.
Nobody thought she would.
No, I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I was like,
Nobody thought she would.
And she wins, goes all the way, wins Miss World Africa.
But the funny thing is, during top 10, she was the most liked.
Yeah.
She just had that thing about her where, you know, it is me.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
You could see her in that top 10 mix. Yeah. I think after she won, that's where the mixed emotions started to show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is now at the height of, you know, a really low when you come in, and now, you know, she's crowned, she's got a crown now. Yeah. She's Miss World Africa and all of that. No, man, you ended up on the list there, representing Africa, so people have to respect that, you know what I mean? And I think it's now becoming an actual thing, you know, about Miss World Africa, Miss World Asia, because they're doing more work now, because I think the organization itself is trying to spread itself away from just the queen doing stuff and have something going on all year in all the different continents. So it feels like it was an up at that point in time. Why did you jump ship?
I didn't really jump ship.
The contract, apparently, according to a newspaper article, Ben Ralitati is quoted as saying her contract ended about 3 months before, but I kept nagging her to stay because she was such a vital asset.
Yeah.
Isn't this the guy who gives you the contract?
You know what? You know, there's a couple of stories that say, you know what? Honestly, my parents tell me I'm so spoiled. I have this tendency to just leave places. But you see, for me also, if it's no longer serving the right purpose for me in my life, or if it's no longer working out, can I live 56 guys? Can I live 102? How
many are we right now? So we give context. Because this is a working mom, guys. Some people say that working moms and they got one. How many nanas do you have right now?
I've got 4 kids and a grandchild. So can we just talk about how, you know, firstly, the pay has to make sense for me.
Yeah.
You are one. And the time. So if I'm giving all my time, but the pay is not making sense, for me it means that then it's not leaving room for me to do anything else that may supplement that so that it can make sense for my big family.
Yeah.
I've got 3 boys who eat like the world is coming to an end. Let's not forget their father in the equation.
Oh, goodness, man.
You know, no doubt. You know, so it needs to make sense. It needs to make sense for my life.
Yeah.
It needs to make sense for my livelihood.
Yeah.
And it needs to make sense for me and my state of being as well, whether it's mentally and emotionally.
But he just called you vital while not renewing the contract.
Vital, but they just couldn't afford me.
They didn't have the money.
They didn't have the money.
Okay.
I wouldn't have left had the money been there.
Is that really all that happened there?
Honestly, when I left, I wouldn't have left had the money been there.
Yeah.
The reason I left was because he just could not afford to keep me on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys
obviously nna ha ke mo bankeng nna ha ke re ha re ta re bua ha contract ka e hela gore me anong ra reng ka madi ha re hayo and I had to at that point think about you know what does this mean for me? That year that I did that Miss Botswana, that Miss Botswana year was just me. I was gonna just take a year off and just figure things out, and you know we had some savings. We were still comfortable with the hubby and, you know, financially wise. So instead of my year off, I did Miss Botswana, and it was honestly for next to nothing money wise.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a passion project. And I remember my husband was very, very angry about it a lot of the times, you know. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, we will see the fruits of this labor eventually. It may not be now in the moment. You know, stipend and say it may not make sense to you now. But this is a platform at the end of the day that can open doors, you know, that can take you to the right places and meet the right people.
At the end, when you were done with it, was it able to be something you can see on your CV and say, yo, I did that. I helped set up a young woman from just the beauty queen to being the Minister of Youth and Gender. Because I'm telling you, Tshepi, as much as like you try to like play it down, I think a lot of what you were doing, I remember you on road tours with her, you know, where you be posting.
I was her PR, I was playing chaperone,
You were everywhere with it.
Yeah, we were everywhere and we were everything, you know, like we were a very small team. You know, sometimes Madina khona go short and we would have to buy things, you know, out of my own pocket. We were transporting her with my car. Plate number is Botswana. I won't even lie to you. There's a statement that I saw in the newspapers not too long ago that said, I think it was a forum that she had held, where it said, you know, a lot of it spoke about how, this is how the paper interpreted what she did everything for herself. You know, I remember it broke my heart when I read that thing.
What did she say?
Me.
Did she say anything about it?
She said she was misinterpreted.
Okay.
She said she was misinterpreted. She said, no, just watch the video from the forum. And my response to that was also I mean, we talk. We talk. We still talk. We've always kept in contact, you know. She still hollers at me. She still also tries to throw a bone my way, you know. But there's been a lot of moments where I felt like there could have been better reciprocation as to what I put in for there. Yes, I understand I was working for the organization, but a lot of what I did, I was going over and above what I needed to do because for me, felt like this was my baby.
They were giving out awards at Miss Botswana. Did you get one?
Saw that. Nah, for what?
For this.
Well, I'm thinking what's up for what? I'm just
I saw people
for what?
I saw Bash get one for working behind the scenes.
I saw that.
Why okay, so
I saw that, fam. I did.
I was waiting to see if you were going to get on that stage.
I saw that. And you know, the thing is with me, Lynn, I feel like I keep setting myself up for these little mini heartbreaks. Because sometimes we have expectations for people to appreciate something that you did. And maybe sometimes when but the people that don't give too much are the ones that get appreciated. When you give your all and you give your all silently, you know I'm not a loud person.
No, not at all.
I would not put on social media, even during her reign, what vehicle was being used, what was being done, or hey, outfit, you know, no. You know, and I realized it's only the people who actually are in it for their benefit and not just, you know, saying no, but we're in this together. They get the appreciation. And I think earlier on we were talking and I was like, you know what? This year for me is just one of those years where I'm like, fuck this shit.
Put yourself first.
I'm done keeping quiet. I'm done giving legs up. I'm done putting people on. You know how many people I've put on over the years?
I'm looking at the list, guys. Okay.
Over the years.
Yo.
You know, and some of them do show appreciation. You know, I appreciated, you know, Frost has hit me up before. He's one of the people who I started with back in the beginning, whether it's giving him a slot on my show back then. DJ Vic, Walobatse Radio, you know, he started off on my show as well back at Yarona FM, and look where he is now. But, you know, these are people, lehela thank you, amolomo to me is everything. It doesn't have to be on social media. It doesn't have to be, you know, what you got that you can add to it to make some tabas. I appreciate those moments.
Definitely.
Yeah, because for me, this is how, if I gave you a leg up silently so that you can have a career, then let's keep... You know, helping one another. It's give and take in this world, you know.
I want to ask just the last question on Lesego. She's been on the news lately about wearing, what are those? Tights? Oh, the leggings. And it's
she was supposed to dash home and change or go into a bathroom and change before stepping into that church.
I don't know.
Honestly, Batswana angry. Oh, guys.
And no one is actually even talking about everyone else who was in the church, you know, because people were wearing like
they were all in
track pants and leggings.
So and I walk pura mo
I'm trying to bring it to your know. What do you think about like ladies who are out there in the space? I mean, right now, Miss Universe has this little controversy around Sabaga Manyapetsa versus Safi.
I love Sabaga. Sabaga was one of the princesses during
Nakwate.
Yeah.
So I just want to get your take on it, because you know these young ladies are really out there doing that thing. They're also speaking out their truth and all of that. You know, why do you think like it's always looking like it's so unfair for Banaba Setsana in this space, but yet you guys keep coming back and coming back? What do you think we could do differently as your brothers to
Not
make
try
life
sleep
easier?
with us. Not try sleep with us in order for us to get where we want to go.
Yeah.
And this is the fundamental problem. I don't know what's going on Kako Miss Universe, honestly speaking, but I know Sabaga. Sabaga would not just say things out of her ass.
Yeah.
You know, she is one of the most pure-hearted girls I've ever come across.
Definitely.
Because when her and Tshepo were first and second princess, you know, that was actually when also I introduced the idea of utilizing the princesses during the queen's reign, which I saw they did now with this young lady's reign. And they did it well, and I'm so glad to see. You know, it's always nice to see something that you put in place finally be used, even after you're not there.
Definitely.
For me, it brought a little bit of joy to my heart, you know. And so, Sabaga sa sibua, na ke a mo dumela. Sabaga ka ke a thanya hela ba bua dio tsi tsa di buang, because Sabaga ke feel hore the little I got to know of her is sufficient enough for me to say I can stand by the fact that what she's saying is the truth.
So with because men usually head these organizations, you know, and I'm sure, you know, people have that question: are kids being taken advantage of? And I'm not specifically talking about Safi or Ben, but who takes advantage of them and in what ways?
The owners of these organizations, even I myself during my career come-ups, have had some very indecent offers in order for me to get something. And sometimes I feel like I am where I am today, where I haven't gotten as far as I feel like I could be, is because I've turned down a lot of offers. I've rejected a lot of these offers in order to get somewhere. Because I feel like, why can't we just do it because of the credibility of your experience and what you've gained? I feel like I'm a badass gangster person when it comes to what I do. And I will not sleep with no man in order to get a position. Because I know what I can do the best than those that sleep with a man for that position.
Definitely.
But unfortunately, this is the realm that we are placed in. In order for you to excel, you got to go through these doors that just don't make sense. You know, and those doors, unfortunately, are the
bedroom doors.
You know, in between your legs.
Maribome have it really, really hard, especially in BW. I mean, you've done a lot of work out in South Africa. I'll just mention a couple of them because I Molotov cocktail. Guys, this was around when South African hip hop was about to blow up. Molotov cocktail. Also Tshepiso.
So that's my guy. He now owns Purple Cow.
Sure. I saw him at a wedding. He's still himself, man, and he watches the show. So shout out my guy as well. You worked on Bukuli Chana's Java's Fabulous. You assisted in
that music video. You know, actually Tshepo, I call him Kweko, but he gave me the opportunity to do like the treatment for that video. And, you know, I obviously work closely with Kuli on, you know, getting the music video concept and all of that.
The one with Tolas Mo.
The one with Tolas Mo. That one.
Guys,
it was really
check
fun
it out
to
on YouTube,
do.
guys.
Even on the music video, you'll see some of my girls are on that video. One of my girls did the makeup on that video while we're still out there in SA. So, you know, that was a very big leg up for him. And I got to work a little bit on. There was a show on Mnet as well called The Making Of.
I remember that show.
I also got to work with them a little bit on that, you know, where they interview legends and things like that. So he really gave me a great opportunity that side, you know. And things were starting to catch on, obviously, until South Africa refused to let me stay that side. But it was just a matter of, I wanted to bring my daughter out. For me to come back was because I wanted my daughter to come live with me, because I think it was going on to 2 years of me being done with varsity and I was out there working. But when I was South Africa, she was born in Mafikeng and she doesn't have a birth certificate to date. South Africa Batswana and then want to claim South African citizenship. And then Botswana can't give her a birth certificate because she was not born here. So now I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place because I can't bring my daughter out because I can't get her a permit. I can't get her anything because
Hana birth certificate.
Hana birth certificate. Wa bona. Gore ke nomad nyana hela and yo, so eventually that's actually how I ended up moving back to Botswana, because it just wasn't making sense for me. I wanted my daughter, I wanted to come back.
Yeah.
I think I wanted her with me, and if the only way was for me to come back. But honestly, I truly believe that had I stayed in South Africa, I'd be so much further than what has happened here in Botswana, just because of the kind of reception I already had in SA. And I was already I had a show on Africa Magic, which I did for a couple of years as well. It was called Dusk.
Dusk, yes.
Yeah, I did that for 2 years between 2000 and end of 2007 and end of 2007, 2009. Yeah, for 2 whole years. I actually co-hosted the second season with a gentleman named Gabriel Tlachai. Yeah.
I know Gabriel.
You know Gabe.
Yeah, I know Gabe.
So when second season, they wanted me to have a co-host, and then I hollered at him, and he came and became my co-host.
He's a corporate dude, though.
Yeah,
I get
he's
as
a
well.
corporate dude.
Yeah, but with the fashion, I be seeing him.
He's that guy.
You know what I mean?
He's that guy,
huh?
man. Yeah,
him. This is why you need a mic. But you were doing all of these gigs. I mean, you had poetry sessions, go Café de la Salud, go Santin, and this is during the World Cup year, 2010.
Yeah.
You've also done Gauteng tourism and KZN tourism as a travel ambassador. So things were looking up that side. Do you?
Travel ambassador Mickey did
Oh no, that
was this side when I was at Yarn FM.
All right. So on Yarn FM, you did the Reloaded Sundays and also Coca-Cola Reloaded. Ended up doing the Drive Time show from
That was the worst mistake of my life.
Because of T-Easy.
No. You know what? Izzy and I managed to find our footing.
You were his host for 3 years. That's dope, though.
It was for about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We managed to find our footing. It was terrible in the beginning. And when he was just on some, you know what? If you guys don't sort this out, I'm going to lock you guys in a room for a week.
What was wrong?
You come out there. Well, it was just that Izzy doesn't soften up to everybody.
Yeah.
To put it, lightly.
No, I'm the wrong person to ask these things.
I'm picking my words. This is why I'm picking my words. But you know what? We started to do co-host dates. And this was when, with our show producer Joyce, we used to go on these dates and just try and, get into the same vibe. And eventually we did. We just got to know one another. Usually that's what works for me. That's why people soften up, because people always say I have a resting bitch face. But then when you come and get to know me, so eventually we found our footing. But I think moving to Drive Time was the worst decision I ever made.
For real.
I feel like had I not moved to Drive Time, I probably would have stayed at Yarn FM. Reloaded Sundays was doing well.
Very, very well.
Reloaded Sundays was doing so well. It was one of the only weekend shows that had a sponsor. I had Sunday lunch with Tshepi, sponsored by Blue Crystal Sugar. I brought that sponsor on board.
That's when you will talk about the ingredients and then cook
this is where the initial concept of dining with Tshepi started to grow. Yeah. So Reloaded Sundays did well, and then
But radio you end up becoming like a victim of your own success, because ultimately, if you're that good and then they see what money is coming in, they want to move you to where they can make that money 5 days a week. So, but your experience was different from everyone else. What about, everyone else we've had on the show? Was it a good experience? You've heard the trauma bonding that's happened on the show, so
we
I'm
all
just
had
trying
that
to check.
trauma. I was one of them. It's just that I've never outcried about it, I never put it out there. I was one of the ones in the line. It was me, Zizi. I don't even know if Ndu was part of that crowd or he went. I think he went before. It wasn't too long. I think there was about 7 of us.
Jesus, was it David?
I think
He sent me a text. People are telling their experiences like this. So what was the fight?
I can't say that. No. David.
Oh, okay.
Kelly came after David. Yeah, you know, I really don't have much to say about David. He was just the guy.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have any traumatic experiences with David.
Yeah.
Neither with Kaylee.
Yeah.
Another thing is, for me, I've always been a business person. So I understand that business is business. People are out here to make money, not to do favors. So if your FM feels like you are not an asset to them, who are you to come and say, oh my God, they dismiss me unfairly? This is business, yo. This is business. They need to make money. And if they can make money with somebody else who will maybe bring them money in that slot of yours and they can find you another place, it is business. It's not personal. And I'm not taking away from the experiences of other people. Yes, it hurt when you're an FM fired us. You know, and I remember I think you and Drew were talking about it. I was nominated for Best Social Media.
You were also there.
They were trying to make the blow a little bit lighter. And I'm like, what Best Social Media? I'm so inactive on social media. It made no sense. But I appreciated the nomination. And that to me, it showed them, Wow. So I never really took what happened at Yarn FM personally. Because, like I said, during my time at Yarn FM, I was a business person. And I understand business is business. I've had to fire people in my own business. You know, I've employed up to 10 people within my business at one given time. So when firing is not easy, and even when you feel like the reason is not valid enough to justify, but if it's not working out for your business,
it's time to let it go. So how do you get into artist management? Because I think were you on the radio when we're doing the management?
What year was that?
It's around between 2012 2015.
I was in the training program. I was in the Yarn FM training program 2012.
How was it managing me? I looked the other way.
Are you really asking me that?
Because they want to know. They have to deal with me. Tell them I was a good guy.
How was it? Okay. I'll give just one example, which may give an overall experience.
A lot of experience.
You know, I think with my eldest son right now, I think there was a time that was the only car available at my disposal at that time. I had to go and tomola you out of somewhere because there was a gig. We had brandy that night or something. Governor had gone with the other car. Hey, you know what? It was a journey. It was a strengthening journey.
Yes, ma'am. But you know what I always respected about you was also you always knew how to find me. But at this time it was.
That was thanks to honestly my husband because you know kinda you guys are in the same job. When I would have never managed that.
Because that was one of my favorite times because like I said, you were able to like find me and also because of softness. Hey, let him.
Colorful.
My nigga. Just gave me my favorite. Is this sweet? Take it down. I'm gonna have some pasta after this.
I'm looking forward to that one.
But you manage other people as well. You manage Dollar Mac. You manage DJ DZD, artist management, Flowetry management. Why did you get into that space and having to deal with people? Because I think you always work better. What got into your head to try and work, with DJs and musicians?
For one, I think for me it was just a matter of I really was always in the entertainment industry and I really enjoyed the entertainment. At one point I used to think in my life I would be a singer.
Give us a note.
No. What you dream when you are a young person. When you hear yourself in the shower. No, honestly, I did used to sing. But I've always had an issue with my vocal cords. So once I started smoking, that went down the drain. But Zeus can attest to the fact that I think back in the beginning there, we used to like do a little bit of singing highly outside when we first met. But so it's one of those that music has always been an industry that I have loved. Hence my love for radio. Hence my love for artistry. You know. And when I decided to do artist management, I just felt like our artists were not just being treated like they're artists. It wasn't that thing, you know. And coming from being exposed to working with artists in South Africa at the time. Ghana, I was fresh out of coming. I moved back in early 2012.
Yeah.
So coming back from SA and just seeing, you know, Bukuli and how things were going, and
it was
just
like
seeing
a trajectory thing, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you know what? Why are we just not being able to come out here?
Yeah.
You know, y'all were charging like, I don't understand, guys.
Hey, rinse around right now.
When I decided we're making like a standard fee for artists, we need to gather these artists and decide nobody's charging less than 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know, Dizzy D couldn't believe it at some point when he got his first paycheck. You know, he went on a flight for the first time outside of Gabs.
Because he's that good.
Yeah, I was out of Gabs because I was just like, no, not my artist flies.
Yeah.
I was just like, not my artist flies.
That's what I was saying. Driving all the way to Bomaung and shit. Yeah.
So, you know, it was just one of those things that I also wanted to level up.
Yeah.
So when you got like somebody like Scar charging a certain amount, somebody like Dollar Mac charging a certain amount, somebody like Dizzy D, even the ones I didn't manage, we managed to speak to them, let's set a minimum.
Yeah.
Because I said, let's gather and set a minimum. Nobody takes beneath this much.
Yeah.
And it actually worked.
It started changing the game completely.
It started changing the game completely.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that, you know, like I'm saying, I'm not the person that will go and post about it.
Yeah.
Or I did that,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those that for me, I was happy to see that we are all.
You know, when I realized blind, I think you called my mom once.
Yeah.
You know what I
called
mean?
Your
that
mom
was
more than once.
That was the best way to get me in line. But so what was the last, you know, chip for you? Like when did you decide, let me just start focusing on working with Bo, Gauteng tourism, create events, start doing the food farm as well. You know, how did you?
I think with artist management, when I get like artist management was because then I got into business. And managing y'all was like time consuming.
And we thank God for the time you gave us.
Y'all were like out. So for me, I realized, okay, now I want to get into this line of business. I was doing flowetry, getting into events. I was building the food farm. I think that's when now I started to move away from artist management. I was doing the food farm. I was introducing Miss S Cook's Kitchen, the catering, and you know. So for me, that needed me full time, but I was doing that also while being on radio. So there was something that I needed to let go of, and the only one that made sense was that one. No, it's like about the 7,000.
But also, you know what I always respect also is that you never mention I'm dealing with the family and I have nanas, you know, and that's also to show you're not out here trying to play a victim. You are out here moving things. I want to talk a little bit about the food. Not everyone just walks into a kitchen and says, let me show you something. How did you get into like thinking, I'm good at what I do, I can cook, and I can now start doing events like Bonobo, the food farm, healthy eats. I remember you used to have like even recipes that you would speak about, and I think during the process of the show, some people would even cook whatever it is that you're talking about.
That was Reloaded Sundays.
So with your cooking, how does that come into play while you're doing PR and you think I'm gangster enough to even do a Dining with Tshepi season 1, season 2? Tshepi has done so much, guys. There's the lifestyle, travel documentary. Are you that good?
All of my heart. I like to eat and I like to eat nice things. But then again, you know, I was just a girl. Just these nice things. So I had to figure out how to make these nice things. So I've always liked to watch cooking shows, your Gordon Ramsays, and for me, I just try and replicate, and I'd cook and I'd cook and I'd cook until the food started tasting good and started looking good, you know. In the beginning, it wasn't so great, you know, it wasn't always great. But eventually, you know, now I can honestly say, you
Don't
can't
fuck
touch
with me.
this. But, you know, you got to start somewhere. And I love to eat. I genuinely love food. People don't understand, you know, maybe I'm not a big girl per se, but I genuinely love food. And I love to eat.
Yeah.
And I can eat a lot.
No, but I respect that, because here you are, you turned it into a business. I mean, there's all kinds of different ones. Like I said, there was the lifestyle travel documentary you presented on BTV. So you've been on all of the platforms. You've been on TV, you've been on radio
BTV,
as well.
Now TV, DSTV.
Now TV, Marit running as well. You've co-direct as well. I remember I was on your show, you're Dining with Tshepi.
Yeah.
You start all these things up. Is there support for shit like this out here?
Support ora.
Mad.
No,
I just sponsor. Okay, cool. If I'm gonna be setting up a dining show, 2 seasons at that, you know what I mean? And you've written scripts on Now TV. Is there money on some of these shows where you can leverage whatever popularity you got, your skills, and be able to the corporate thing? Or are we just living?
I didn't go to corporates with that one. I did season 1.
Mm-hmm.
We managed to get it sold on BTV.
When people say sold on BTV, and I'm not pocket watching, but I'm pocket watching. How much is this stuff? Like, how much can you sell your show?
Enough to live and make another one.
That's not an answer, Tshepi.
Enough to live and make another one.
There's kids at Bolimko right now. After that plan is after this.
We sold season 1. Honestly, obviously, Botswana, we don't do a lot of it.
Give me a number.
Okay, I think Dining with Tshepi season 1 was sold for just a little over 700K.
What?
Which is not much, because BTV, that was now. BTV gives more.
God damn, but that's still dope.
Yeah, so we're able to now do season 2. So that's how we did season 2. From the fans, season 2, we had makeup, we had, all of that.
What was it, block 10?
Season 1, I guess.
I was in season 1, go block 10.
Go block 10. We used the same set. That was my mom's house.
Yeah.
So, luckily I was using my mom's house, my mom's kitchen, which is all decked out. And I was just like,
too
perfect.
Dope.
but I paid her for the set.
Shout out, mommy.
I'm not that girl.
These kids gotta pay.
Obviously, she charged me next to nothing. But thank you.
You had 7.
I'm sure when I like since I'm mabola thing, chopper, So I did give thanks for that one to her. But so and I had a partner as well, who obviously was the director of Dining with Tshepi, and then we went in and did season 2.
So did they buy season 2?
Hey,
for another 7.
Don't get me started on season 2, because guys,
tell me, Go for it. While I check out my.
Let me have a sip.
No, because so that we realize if these are all just pipe dreams.
So with season 2, what happened was we submitted it. No,
no.
You're right. Wow.
There was a kick there. Cosmo. Oh no, you beautiful bitch. Faithful bitch. Emma, so break it down.
Make sure my kids don't watch this
snap. We need to keep it PG.
No, it's fine. Why? No, they just won't watch. It's fine. Yeah, why? Season 2. Unfortunately, with our government offices, Salero submitted season 2 shortly after it was made, which was how many years ago? Season 2, when I was still at Magari Land. Before I joined Miss Botswana, around about the time I joined Miss Botswana. They have this tendency to just keep extending. What about the 90-day period? Quotation, extend you. We've been doing that ever since. And then last year, December, they said that we must resubmit. Collect the tender documents by the 16th of December. 90 days old, 90 days old. I remember I was asking my partner what I wanted to do. 90 days the show just already expire, content expire.
Because about 2020.
And at that time, you can't even use that content elsewhere, because if you do, they won't buy it. So you can't put
it on YouTube.
No,
you've already shot how many episodes?
Shown when you submit 13. every time I shoot 13 and I submit 13.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on 13 episodes that every 90 days I've been getting called to come and sign an extension for.
Yeah.
Now that YouTube guys, yeah, make a sense.
But okay, with these conversations, because I tried to sell something with Zeus once, the Scar versus Zeus thing we did at Botswana Craft. I thought Zeus was the one selling it because I think he's more patient than me, trying to shop it. There's a lot of content creators out here in BW, and all of them end up leaving their material on Facebook because total, I think they don't see an end when it comes to the national broadcaster. You've had shows on Now TV, you've had shows on DSTV, you've had shows on BTV. Tell us a little bit about the process. Give us an idea of, okay, I got my 13 episodes, or I got whatever I got. Do you wait for them to put out a tender for shows, or do you just shoot your shit and then go knocking on the door?
You shoot your shit, but then every year there's...
I said, sorry, Nana. I know they're going to want to see that, Mommy. I'm so sorry. Don't be like Uncle.
Yeah, they've seen enough of me. Every year there was an opening. No, every year Now TV and BTV there'd be a show.
Where do they advertise the stuff?
How I advertise? That is... Government gazette, government gazette.
It's like they're making things difficult for you to be able to participate. Okay, it's a tender.
It's a tender.
So you
tender
should
notice. I don't know how I want on social media, which likelihood is you may not. Government gazette.
So should you have a PPADB accreditation?
You don't need PPADB. Not all tenders do you need PPADB. Actually, yes, with these ones you do need PPADB. Give the expression of interest that you don't need PPADB.
Because some of us just give up when people start saying, well, PPADB.
The process is tedious.
Okay.
That's why we generally don't go all the way with these routes.
Okay.
But it's a tender. You submit for tendering, and when you submit, babula honoho, and then you know which shows have made it to the next stage because they just check the technical. Have you named it the way they said you should? Does your folder open? Is there actually something playing when you open it? And then after that, half the time you'll find, I won't even lie to you, season 1 of Dining with Tshepi.
Break it down.
Was immaculate, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
Because there were, the gripes of doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
But, we mastered it, whether it was the lighting and the sound in season 2.
Yeah.
But these things, they do make it. So the terms aren't that stringent.
Yeah.
So anyone can really get their show on. It's just that the process is tedious. We're still sitting on the extension. It's a season 2.
Yeah.
Because God forbid I put it on YouTube. That means I can't.
You can't sell it now.
Can't be used to. Habaka respond bare. We've accepted it. It's either I'll have to shoot a new 13 episodes or get a hella. Unfortunately, the receipts elsewhere.
But another rules just irritate me because okay, cool. We got what 90 now. So this means you could never try and resell something like this on BTV because it's already been published or what?
You can resell for
less money though.
You'll probably get like maybe 200.
Yo, that's dope. How do we break it, guys? But
DSTV is starting to air podcasts now.
Yeah, there. What I feel about the DSTV office here, because I work closely with DSTV Multi-Choice when I was doing Idols and Big Brother, and sometimes it's like I feel more it's like a cash point,
but they also pay less than BTV.
Still, and also if you like, okay, cool, they are not helping us get our stuff out there.
And I hollered at DSTV about Dining with Tshepi. Yeah.
Directly go bone kana mo gaborone because I always wonder
we are here today. I hollered we are here today. It's not there. So
they are just like I said, like a cash point where people pay for the subscriptions, but nothing from Botswana can get on screen from. Because I remember Tshepi Mapanya, and she was trying to put us on, because she's also a creative and she had been a TV presenter at one point. But I'm always wondering, okay, cool. people they're talking, yo, PODI-CAST, why don't you guys try and get on DSTV? And why don't you put a tender in?
If we could bring her back to DSTV, I think we'll have a chance. Right now, honestly, my feelings towards DSTV is if you're not their friend, yeah,
we're talking about one person here.
Yeah, if you're not their friend,
if you are not her friend.
You said it, not I.
Y'all play. You guys need
So for me, I won't even lie. When I knocked on that door, I got a very cold shoulder, and I have a full product. I don't even think the time was taken to even see it, to watch it, not even the reel or clip or nothing. And for me, and then I see a cooking show pops up on DSTV, and I get, ow. I've been having it.
That was your co-host. No, I'd be putting my ear on the street. I remember him and his sister had a show.
That's his sister.
Is he friends with them? No, Gabe is my nigga.
He's on that one. The relationship is about 12.
How did that show end up on DSTV?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But all I can say is I did holler at DSTV. I have a product. I think I remember we sent a link of my reel.
Yeah.
God that was that. That was that.
Guys. So Gaborone is still like. So what would you think would be the difference in Gabs and in Joburg as far as work being taken for merit rather than? I mean,
in SA, had I done something like that, they probably would have said, "Okay, mommy, all right, we see it. We don't think this one is the best quality, but we like the content. Let's reshoot at our expense." In SA, that's what they would have done. Honestly speaking, I believe South Africa. When South Africa, it's about are you good at what you do? Even hella when I just look at how we treat radio here compared to how we treat it in SA. Had I been a radio presenter in South Africa, and I'm not even saying what I feel like I want to blow my own horn, but had I been what I do here in South Africa, y'all wouldn't even know me.
What do one attitude you touch? Well, I want out of that nigga get in there,
Yeah.
Would you get back on radio?
Because I would, and I've been trying to.
You hosted, you've been on RB2 and Yarn FM, and like I was telling Du when he was on the show, or like something, that's a big feat, especially in Botswana.
Yeah.
Because people want to relegate you to...
RB2 was a heartbreak for me. It genuinely was. I loved it there, and for me to part ways with them, top 40, top 40, it was a heartbreak for me to leave because I could have seen myself growing from there. But there was a lot of internal,
you don't have to be a lady about it.
There was a lot of internal issues that happened there that forced me to leave.
Okay.
Firstly, because, I was doing top 40 and then I had like an early morning show.
Yeah.
Between 3 and 6 a.m. outside of top 40. Yeah. So I was on 6 days a week. I had the 3 to 6 a.m. I called it before breakfast show. And, funny enough, I'm thinking radio station funny enough, I had listeners.
Yeah.
I knew at 3 a.m. quiet, but come 4 a.m.
People are up.
And they're listening and they're interacting with me, And I had all sorts of features that they were interacting with.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for me also, it was a bit hectic for me. Because waking up, have to pakela. Not even have to, 2:15 pakela. You get to the studio, you start your show 3 to 6. Then when I come back, I gotta get the kids ready for school. And then get them to school. After I get the kids ready to school, then I jump into my business. So it was starting to take its toll on me.
Like a whole day worth of activities.
It was starting to take its toll on me, and I wasn't managing to do the 3 to 6 a.m. slot. And then at least so you can rack up the hours and make some money because they pay per hour, I get. And then top 40 turned into a fight.
Who wanted your job?
Not who wanted my job.
Yeah.
I'm base camp RB2 for what show.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was for the top 40 after like a whole month of initiating me. Only then do I find out what show it's for. And at the time, Miss GK's was presenting the top 40.
King.
I'm
a rapper. I'm always looking for beef. Cosmo.
It's just the Cosmo and inconspicuous
get Cosmo. You can take the babies to school in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah.
She was doing the top 40. So
she was doing the top 40.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak on her relationship with RB2, but for me, obviously in the beginning there was a bit of we were rubbing up the wrong way because
You're a threat, nigga.
She felt like I was a threat. I didn't even know what I came there for, though.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember there was a day I said to her, Mami, you know, the least we can do is maybe just let's work together here and see how we can, you know. Obviously, they're going to try and pit us against one another.
I why do we do that with girls all the time? Why is it so easy to pit girls against each other?
Because we love to hate one another as girls.
I don't know if you watched The Breakfast Club. There's this lady, Jess Hilarious, and she was the only girl on the show. And then she went on a pregnancy leave. So we get this young girl who used to work at TMZ, and she speaks well and she can read well, and Jess is just a comedian, so next thing, there's 2 girls in the studio now, and these guys are just letting them just bash heads. It ends up on the gossip blogs. And I'm thinking... But
you know, the funny thing is, every time Ms. GKs and I co-hosted together, it was amazing. We were killing it. And I just feel like had RB2 just let us co-host that show together, it would have slapped. We were great together actually on air. We sounded great together on air. I will say that much. And I enjoyed the vibe that we had when we were together on air.
Definitely.
But on a station, it was an either or. It turned into an either or scenario. So in the end, I ended up bowing out. It just
because you had other shit you could do, dog.
Hey man, can I have 52 guys? And they are all about keep it moving. I gotta keep it moving. I can't dwell because I got these kids. These kids need me to keep it moving.
Yo, don't even get us started. Yeah, so you pick my fights.
Let me go and do
Yeah.
Because also fighting just keeps things stagnant.
Yeah.
Yo,
ladies, come on. Please, I'm not trying to point fingers because I'm also trying to get, Ms. GK's on the show as well, because I can only imagine how it feels also being her as well. Maybe she has her own
I honestly
POV.
feel like she was also blindsided. I don't think she knew somebody was being brought on to take the show. I really don't think she knew.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like Len and I hakametse hela ipotsa gore kante yanong gents.
Fatganan.
Ira hala ntse re tahela mmogo sentle yanong 1212 hello hi. You know, honestly, I got the impression she was blindsided.
I want to talk about your sexual harassment and gender-based discrimination. Is it safe for women in the entertainment industry?
I would say it is. It also just depends how you move as a woman. For me, I can't say I've ever been cornered. People will make insinuations. At the end of the day, Batswana are fearful people. And I don't think Batova pinelwa in the workplace, but insinuations can be made. It's also, I think, hey, no,
just go ahead, Mamisto. Blame them.
It's how you move as a woman also.
Break it down. I want to understand
I truly believe these things, if they end up in your doorstep, how are you moving as a woman?
Some niggas apparently just whip it out.
Because no, that's not what I mean. I mean...
And they will call you into the office and just whip it out. How do you react to that?
You walk out. Why are you waiting? Wait a minute. Unless I lotleletse mo office. Then you are unsafe.
And now you can go to the police about it.
You want the job? Are you taking it? You have the ability to walk out and walk out safely. Walk out. Don't start thinking twice about it. It's about how you move as a woman. Where do you stand? Do you want that job more than you want your dignity? If you are not locked in that office, if you are not being threatened, if you are not being put in a compromised position by not having the freedom to walk away from a situation, that one I can understand.
Yeah.
But if you are in a situation where you have the freedom to walk away, walk out.
Hesh, man.
Walk out. Sometimes also we waste time by trying to fight it and say, "Oh, hey, I deserve this job because hey, just sometimes just leave it alone."
I know you're not, active on social media, but I know you see shit, and I just want to pass it by you because you've been in this industry for a very long time, and we we were having the conversation about April Gates and Mika. Alleged fight. I just want to pick your brain on it. How do people like Bonobo, April protect themselves from all of this drama? Like, how are they moving badly? Like, how do women make sure baskaba, get used against each other, I guess?
Manna wa motho ke bat. Sale hala ke tswa I've always from hella my varsity days.
Yeah.
I've always said married men are a bad omen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are going to jola with a married man, you will never get married.
Yeah.
How even if they're just dating.
Yeah.
We tsenya di bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Le nna nkile ka batla go betsa ngwanyana e le gore o busy ke ra gore guys as women our emotions are heightened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you messing with somebody else's man? Honestly speaking,
it was for PR. We agreed that we're going to look like that in front of people.
So clearly she went beyond look like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying what the other Miguel did is right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, le PR ajan never.
Go bedroom.
PR e feng yone eo. Ke re le nna ke tsene sekolo ke studisitse PR ke feng eo PR. Ha ke se ke bone hala mo dingwageng tsa me mo dibukeng tsa mo la le PR wano ha eyo.
So what's what yeah, by the stories as they move along. Yeah.
No, you don't play with feelings.
Yeah.
Listen to feelings, guys.
Because right now,
feelings.
I'm just scared for them because now we have, they are bright stars in BW. And once it now starts being, I wake up in the morning and I'm motivated by negativity, I'm going to find a way to cripple you. And now that's all everyone is doing to each other.
But it's sad what happened to also with them. As women, who did she get into the contract with? Was it with Batswana or was it with
the shorty? So...
which one is it? Because for me, I'm just like, even if it was just with Batswana, and I get a lot of so why are we fighting?
We agreed.
Why are we fighting? What went wrong? I get you knew the risks. The emotions, the feelings. I'm the kind of girl that catches feelings fast. So I don't really PR. Maybe I'm just old, guys. I just feel like don't play with fire.
You might get burnt.
We're
going to wrap it up in just a little bit. I think they got our food somewhere. I think we're going to have a part 2. You're going to come through and co-host on a couple of topics because we need to talk about a couple of things as well. I want to ask you about your top 5 favorite BW women radio presenters. Let me just do that.
Women.
I want to stick it to the ladies.
I will say Miss GK's.
At number 5 or number 1? Let's start it from...
number 5.
Actually... Yeah, at number 5.
Okay, I'd say number 5. Guys.
No, I heard that from Tumi once.
They come into my head. I don't even think I can make it to 5. Hey, do my FM. Boto.
Is it Boto? Is it Bote?
Bote.
The lady at Duma FM.
Bote. Yes, I'd say Bote.
Yeah, she's consistent as well, and I really love how they have not protect, but they're letting her do her thing. And
she consistency. How would I should have never left Reloaded Sundays. Consistency.
Yeah.
I'd say Bote, and then I would also say, who would be next on my list? I'd say maybe then Ross.
Shit, Tato.
Yeah. And then I'd say LB.
Yeah, ne?
And then I'd say...
I thought she was just going to stick to the sports, and then when she
In fact, I would say Rati before LB.
Yeah.
I'd say after Ross's Rati.
Yeah.
And then LB. Yeah, I really love LB's energy.
Yeah.
And then honestly, guys, Miss GK's is gangster.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
RB2.
Yeah. Definitely.
So for me, I'd say that's my top 5.
And now she's doing the drive time show.
Yeah, I saw that today. That she's
let's call it drive.
Yeah.
And big up to them. Oh goodness! You see that now creeping up. What are the special mention? Yeah.
+1.
Over 1. Yeah. Are you ever gonna come back on radio? Like because
I've been trying to.
You've been trying.
I've been trying to. I knocked on.
Oh, the food is here.
Woo! My favorite part of the day. Yeah, bro.
That's a linguine.
Linguine.
Okay, take it born and boy come in like that.
Linguine.
Okay, drinks menu yeah.
All right. Drinks menu.
How will not get on here and get a little sweets in one. So you would come back on radio?
I've been trying to. I've knocked on the Duma FM door. Mr. Mutei no longer even responds my messages.
To me sang.
He no longer even responds my messages. RB2 as well. They just said, they said they didn't have any openings this year.
No, what's I knew I want to maloba ya.
So I renyane go sena phatlanyana. Ke te kutlwa le lengwe le sha gona hale go sena. But they absolutely love me. For me to leave RB2 was actually quite a fight.
Yeah.
Never gana kanna. I literally had to let my contract lapse. You have to write a letter in order for the contract to be renewed. So I decided not to write the letter because never gana ke resign. But I had to at the time. So now never gana di phatla. I've been knocking on Gabs FM's doors.
Yeah.
That one has been sounding a little bit promising.
Yeah.
But we'll see which one grabs and bites.
Yeah.
A part of me, they tend to make me feel like perhaps I'm not as great a radio presenter as
No. They're going to
was.
see after this. Come on, mami. Woo,
I'm the girl, kante.
But the time that she gave us, because it's got 2 minutes, so I have to before.
I'll give you 10 more minutes.
Oh, I love
give
it.
You 10 more minutes.
Okay. Yours is a seafood linguine pasta.
Yeah.
It's got queen prawns. Yeah, they are queen.
They are
Grilled
queen.
calamari and mussels
impressed.
in a creamy white wine, garlic, red chili, and dill sauce with linguine. With cherry, tomatoes, and linguine. So it goes for just under 200 pulas, 195. And then the one that I have here is a calamari and chorizo pasta. Grilled calamari, chorizo, red chili, cherry tomatoes, basil, lemon, olive oil, and Parmesan cheese with linguine. From motorek and mukwechepe to seeing how people put in the work.
The plating.
Shout out News Cafe, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to enjoy
plating
these.
is everything because food is visual.
Yeah.
If what you're looking at food-wise is not something, that looks appealing, then you gonna tell or even your palate doesn't quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's all about how it looks.
Awesome stuff. So what are you currently working on? I mean, you're taking the nanas to school, of course, tomorrow. How is it? No, not right now.
It's called Soul Cafe. Mm-hmm. I have this humongous mobile kitchen, which is
why do you
I've
call it as a
done.
mausu?
When I did the catering, neki pizza maseape. So now ki pizza semausu. But I sell your coffee, tea, iced coffee, sweets. I do baked goods, your muffins, brownies. I make these mean ass bagel sandwiches. So I bake everything from scratch, whether it's the bagels or the papatas that I make the sandwiches with, the muffins. Everything is made from scratch. It's homemade. Even the iced tea I make at home.
Okay.
So I have products that I do. I do jam. I do iced tea. I do chili. Which I'm busy trying to, get NAFTAC going with them so that I can get them out officially soon.
Okay.
But yeah, so for me, it's just I want a daily subsistence, guys. Cash flow.
This is why. When I was doing that art thing, these niggas are growing.
Yeah. So imagine how many loaves of bread I go through in 1 week.
How many loaves of bread do you go through in a week?
Minimum 6.
Yo.
And then there's one who inhales like all the fruits in the house in one day. Grapes. One man. One man.
So how do you balance how do you do it, Tshepi? Like, you do so much. I'm sure, like,
the grace of God, fam.
With all of this stuff that you do, you put your hand in almost every single thing. You hustle, you take care of your family, you do all of that. Are there enough hours in a day you're here, getting up this 90 minutes as well?
What's nice is because when you own your time, it's easier. Another thing that kind of chased me away from native events, it was a great experience, and it gave me a new world of eventing.
With Newman.
With Newman, you know, and big ups to Newman.
How is it working with that dude?
Woo, he's ruthless. But you know what? Like I said, Nagana, I don't take things personally, so I respect him as a business person. One thing I always said is, Newman would have never made me do anything he wouldn't do himself.
So
if he's saying you need to stay up for 2 days, he would stay up for 2 days.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? He will be right there with you for those 2 days, if anything. Yeah. So he's not just saying, you must work like a dog. No, it is everything he expects you to do is something he would do himself.
Yeah.
And he got to where he is today because he did that.
All of that stuff himself too.
He did that.
Yeah.
But you see, at my age, when you stay up for 2 days, you break your ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hallucinate after staying up for 2 days. Yo, it got real, fam.
Yeah.
It got real.
Because they do a lot.
They do a lot. We did a lot.
Yeah.
Like, literally, when we decided that I'm not a good fit for native was after I had a near accident because we had so many sets. And for me, when people go home to rest, I'm not resting. Because then there's the buzz of the kids, there's the home life, then you gotta continue.
Yeah.
Unlike if it was maybe a girl who had maybe just one baby who could go to grandma's house, you are actually going to rest. So I never quite got the in-betweens to rest. And for me, this is what made the disconnect with native. That then for me, on it 24/7. And then eventually it just started to take its toll on my health.
Shit.
Yeah.
So Mr. Solomon, is he supportive? I know my nigga is a dope dude.
Hey, when it comes to my businesses.
Yeah.
Jacka the kitchen, the trailer. For 3 days, you know, I said to Kaban, and one thing, you know, that I really need to give up to him. You see, if there's a man that holds it down, especially when it comes to not having to worry who you've left your kids with, it is that guy.
Definitely.
I always say, you know, if he ever left me, I'd tell the court he must keep the kids. Honestly.
No doubt, man.
Honestly.
Shout out Pinzi, my nigga. But Mr. Way, we gotta shut it down. I mean, what do you have any projects that you're doing in the event space right now that we should look forward to?
I'm now
where's
consulting.
The food market? Like, you really need to bring the food market.
I'm trying to bring back the food market, but I don't want to bring it back in the way I was doing it, which was very tedious.
Were you working with Drew, or how was that relationship
Drew
with
and I were working together in the beginning, and then we had our events that split up, but we've always supported one another.
He refuses to get on the show.
We've always supported one another because we said you were hella.
No, just stay in parks. Don't get out the house for like a good. You know?
But yeah, we've always supported one another with events. I am trying to bring the food market, but there's you know, I've been sending out the proposal because I was trying to make it into a food festival, /type of DSTV delicious thing. I sent my proposal out to quite a few people last year. I went out all of a sudden. It's on new branding proposal, but yeah. You know? But yeah, and I've now decided to just make it because I did launch Food Farm Francistown, which did really well. So I'm trying to do a food festival that side.
Because Gaborone is not Botswana, guys.
No, yeah. So my point is now that I get Gaborone. My focus is on the Up North Food Festival. I'm looking for sponsorships for that one. Like I said, the first market we did, COVID, it was really, really great. It had a great turnout. I had to stop because of COVID. Batswana have been asking me when I'm coming back. I think I'm done with Food Farm Gaborone, and I'd like to focus up north, and I'd like to take it on a tour up north.
Yeah.
So Francistown, Maung,
Kasane.
and maybe even Kasane.
Kasane, definitely Kasane, mami. I know some niggas.
The thing is the setup. If bring them,
Yeah.
the thing is it's an already made concept. We don't have to start from scratch. All I need is just the money.
Yeah.
I already got the cost to what it costs to do it outside.
Yeah.
I was in talks with Orange last year. I'm
Yeah.
still here. I was in talks with Orange last year, but that kind of dwindled away towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But we were going to do Francistown Maung.
Okay.
And I had already costed that. And I do the food farmer guys. And I'm
Talking about money, just to close off the show, I'm looking at an article here because Botswana is bringing all of these events over into the country, and I'm thinking, well, people who do what you do, you know, benefit from things like that because the Grand Prix, World Athletics is going to be at the National Stadium. The biggest worry right now is the weather. The tracks are not getting fixed on time, but I'm looking at just the refurbishment of the National Stadium is around 16.1 million. And
amazing. Can I finish at the same time? Obviously,
and the race is on the
29th. Over the years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The race is on the 29th, and people are out here, you know, still fixing the stadium.
Batswana rata
emergency all the time.
Emergency.
Mami, thank you so much, my friend, for being here. It's been a long time,
It's been a long time.
Because those kids,
the 52 kids.
Yeah, but
King B always says you and your 52 kids.
Yeah. But I really, really appreciate you being out here. And I hope you enjoy your dinner.
I'm gonna. It looks great. It smells great.
Eat it here. Don't go share with the nanas.
For a change, the queen prawns are actually queen.
They're huge, guys. Come through to News Cafe. They have amazing food and liquids. I like how they call it liquids. You know what I mean? So come through, man. They have a beautiful menu here. They have a happy hour that happens between 2 and 6 p.m. every single day. So News Cafe is back, guys. You know, Zwagala. Remember, the Ponesa link is right here. Here's your QR code. If you need motlakase, if you need airtime, and you also want to see some of the specials with the people that we work with.
Please use power wisely, guys.
Hey, like we're out here hanging out.
At 3 o'clock, power cut 6 a.m. So I have to wake up at like 3 a.m. every morning to be baking and stuff.
They went and put just recently they went and yesterday Wednesday. Yesterday they put out another schedule. And this stuff is going all the way to Bogumare, Boshakawe. So
but
I don't know
those schedules they never stick to them.
Because like you say, so I don't know how this is not a crisis. You know what I mean? So please, guys,
it's COVID all over again.
Use it wisely. Guys, we are out. It's been fun. Shout out Local Corner. Like and subscribe to the page. Shout out News Cafe one more time. I'm gonna have my pastor. We out. Peace.